and I'm new here. Okay, well, not new to Lily, but new here in the corporate office. I currently work in HR as a diversity talent scout with our global recruiting and staffing team. But I joined Lily in 2007 as a sales representative down in the bayou of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I sold over 11 years across 3 different business units. This is my former sales team. This team consisted of the brightest, most competitive, brilliant people I've ever worked with, led by the most supportive district sales manager ever, John Munson. And he's one of the reasons why I took a leap of faith and relocated my family here to Indiana for professional development. This is my team, my family, my husband and high school sweetheart of almost 14 years, Dale, my oldest son and oldest daughter, Elijah and Brinkley. And I say oldest because if you look closely, the twins are growing. Yep. So while on maternity leave, I took a leap of faith. I interviewed for a job. I applied for a job. I interviewed for said job, and then I accepted the job, all while on maternity leave. Somebody gets it. All on maternity leave. My team was supportive. Life was good for us. We were on the brink of this season of new beginnings. Babies are coming, a new job, relocation to a new state. Yep, my team was supportive, in position, and we were ready to execute the play. So, right? I love y'all. Okay, this is great. You're making this so much easier. So Lola and Levi were born, right? And we fell in love with them immediately. However, upon discharge from the hospital, life took a very unexpected turn for me and my family. While dressed and packed, we were in coordinating outfits like we do in the South. Coordinating outfits. We were told that Lola would not be leaving. She was being admitted to the NICU for high bilirubin levels, failure to maintain body temperature, and her pediatrician ordered chromosome studies because she observed soft physical markers for Down syndrome. It was in this moment that my world stopped and was forever changed as I know it. I was sad, I was confused, I was angry, all of this, right? Deflated, depressed, devastated. It was in this moment where I was like, what do I do? Because it's one thing to be born a woman into this world. It's another thing to be born a black woman into this world. But to be born a black woman with Down syndrome, how on earth was I supposed to prepare her to live and thrive in this world? I was literally grieving a child that I thought was coming and just trying to process my emotions around this new diagnosis of Down syndrome and what this meant for my team, my family. So Lola spent 21 days in the NICU. So for 3 full weeks, 21 days, I commuted back and forth from home to the hospital because I had a newborn son at home and a daughter in the NICU. In addition to the sleep deprivation of having not one, but 2 babies, there was also this fear, this stress, and worry of this Down syndrome diagnosis. What was this? In addition to preparation for a relocation for a new job to a new state. Too much change at one time. Too much change at one time. But regardless of our many religious beliefs and denominations, there has to be a common thread that we all believe that somehow the universe or a higher power supports us. I'm so grateful for a strong, solid spiritual foundation in faith. I'm thankful that while I was going through and was completely empty, I had these constant reminders in my spirit pulling me up and out of my funk. Now, I didn't come here to preach to you all today, but I need to let you know that while I was going through all of this, I was reminded that all things work for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. I was reminded that I should not fear, because that's not of God, but I was not to worry or be anxious for anything, but in all things, through every situation, acknowledge him, and he will direct my path. His peace that surpasses all understanding will cover me, protect my heart, and protect my mind. Again, in all ways acknowledge him and he will direct my path. He has proven time and time again that he has gone before me and made the crooked places straight before I even got there. His word, his encouragement has been a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So, I vividly remember when my professional team began to emerge. Lola was released from the hospital and we had been home for about a week. The Barrow party of 6 is now living in my parents' home because my house was on the market because I was moving. Yeah, okay, just making sure we're tracking, right? Okay, so I remember being home and my now supervisor, Maurice Taylor, sends me an email and he's checking in on this relocation timeline and my official start date. Immediately, fear rushed in. I was like, do I tell him what's going on? Does he even need to know? My daughter has Down syndrome. His knowing isn't going to fix anything. I'm not sure I want anybody to know about this. Why? Because I feared judgment from other people who didn't know me, were not familiar with my work ethic, and I didn't want them to think that my daughter's needs would ever be used as an excuse not to work hard or maybe as an excuse to just miss work altogether. Nope. Wasn't ready to take that baggage with me to Indiana into this new role. Put on a happy face and let's keep on moving. But thankfully, I know that fear is a liar. Right? So I had this weird piece about sharing with Maurice. I don't know why. I really didn't know him. I think it was just like spirits, kindred spirits. He's a man of God. I had a weird piece about sharing with him. I remember saying, okay, on my sales team, it was trust or transparency that led with trust. I had to always be very transparent with my leadership and management team. So transparency led to trust in sales, right? In sales, trust led to support and teamwork. On our sales team, support and teamwork ultimately led to performance and success. So why should this be any differently? I'm getting goosebumps, y'all, just recalling this moment. So I responded to Maurice via email, and I nervously awaited his response. He replied, and I'll never forget how the words leaped from the screen and will forever be imprinted on my heart. He said, I understand, and I will be praying for you and your family. My wife and I are parents of a child with special needs. Our son has autism. Don't you worry about a thing. We will get you connected to everything you need. Can't make this kind of stuff up, right? So you're scared to take this move, this leap, but then your immediate supervisor who's tied to your money and your EPM reviews says, I got you. Don't worry about anything. I get where you're coming from. It was in this moment, the first manifestation, a reminder that my Heavenly Father goes before me. He never leaves me. He never forsakes me. So Maurice Taylor, I say thank you to you for supporting me professionally, personally, and providing me with this opportunity. I'm grateful. So, first day on the job, right? After navigating the hustle and bustle of the parking garages and the security checkpoints, I'm in here like swimwear, I'm in here. Okay, so Maurice gives me a tour of the department and he's introducing me to colleagues. So first day on the job, the first person at 8 a.m. that he introduces me to is a gentleman by the name of John Heigl. I feel like I need to fix this. John Heigl. I don't know if you all know John Heigl, but he has that kind of name that you just can't say John. You can't just call him by his first name. It's got to be first and last name, John Heigl. So I meet John Heigl, and one would think from the outside looking in that this would clearly just never really extend farther than, you know, just cordial office greetings and hi and bye. So I meet John Heigl. So now it's time for me to choose a mobile workstation. This is my first day on the job. I feel like I have to, this is all important. First day on the job, I got to choose a mobile workstation. And on my way to a mobile workstation, I see a familiar face on a Christmas card. And I'm like, what is up with this familiar face on a Christmas card? I don't know anybody here. And the familiar face on the Christmas card looks similar to my Lola's face. I'm like, I got to get a little bit closer. Because see, the thing about Down syndrome, there are these distinct physical characteristics, right? You have upward, slanted, or almond-shaped eyes. There are small noses, small ears, small mouth, and just flat, round face. So I get a little bit closer to the locker. Wouldn't you know it? It's John Heigl's locker. It's John Heigl's Christmas card, and John Heigl has a beautiful daughter with Down syndrome. Immediately, goosebumps, chills. I'm like, no way, can't make this stuff up. I immediately felt this sense of community, as if I ever needed anybody to understand, he would understand if I needed it. Like, he's in my department. Can't make this stuff up. Again, another manifestation that the universe was in full support of me and my team day one in this season. John Heigl, thank you for your constant support, for introducing me to your wife. I know we're an unlikely pair, but I'm grateful. Thank you. Okay, so now on to training, right? I've been introduced, and now I got these weeks of training, on-the-job training. And get this, I should have trained back in April. But because I was on maternity leave and relocating, I am training now with our campus team, so a totally different colleagues, totally different group of colleagues. So while I'm training in HR, we're discussing affirmative action and personal biases, and I volunteer and say, I have a personal bias. When I see a resume of a young woman and it has the Miss America organization on it, I have a bias towards that organization. I want to interview her because that's my world. I competed for Miss Louisiana in 2003 and placed first runner-up. So, right, thank you. So when I meet a young woman with the Miss America organization on her resume, I already know she's articulate. I know she's a leader. I know she's disciplined. She's a leader of her peers. I want to interview her. So a colleague in the room interjects and says, I competed for Miss Indiana last weekend. I'm like, shut up, really? She's like, yes. I said, well, what's your community service platform? Because now I'm about to hem her up. You know, I'm like, you're competing in MAO. You have to have a community service platform to adopt and promote during your reign. She said, stand up. I stand up for people with Down syndrome. My sister is 15 years old and has Down syndrome. Kid you not. Kirsten Davenport, goosebumps, everything. Thank you for sharing your world with me, insight as a sibling of a loved one with Down syndrome. All of this right here in my department. Do you not know, can you not see that he knows exactly what we need when we need it, and he provides all in global recruiting and staffing. I'm getting all of this. Okay, so, I know, right? So, my team is adjusting to life here in Indiana. And, you know, Lola's Down syndrome diagnosis is proven to be just that, a diagnosis. Outside of her low muscle tone, which is a typical characteristic of those with Down syndrome, you know, there really weren't many differences between Lola and Levi. She pretty much was and still is a healthy, beautiful baby. My baby girl just got an extra copy of her 21st chromosome. That's all. She just got an extra copy. Yep, I'm repping for my baby. So my husband agrees to stay home with the twins for a year. He's like, I'm gonna stay home with the twins for a year. We're gonna figure this out before I become employed again. Well, I guess the challenges of providing care for a set of twins got the best of him, because 3 months in, he was like, I'm going to work. So that now created this issue. So now I have to find a daycare with availability, not just for one, but for 2 babies. And that was also affordable. I won't give any, it's not affordable. So, I reached out to my extended team. And I was like, do y'all know anybody, that may be willing to come sit with my family during the day? I'm praying. I need someone who's going to be familiar with Down syndrome. I need someone who's going to have experience. And I need someone who's just pretty much going to love my babies. Right? If they can't have mama, I need the next best thing. Somebody's going to love my babies. So it was through my extended team that Agnes G came into our lives. Having Miss Agnes come to our house provided the opportunity for my Lola to receive in-home therapy sessions, as well as avoid the childhood illnesses usually associated with daycare centers. So I believe in giving people their roses now. Miss Agnes, I want to say thank you to you. Thank you. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for everything you continue to do for my family. We love you. You are literally our prayers made flesh and are a constant reminder of God's goodness to me and my family. Thank you. So, Team Lily. What is Team Lily? Like, we hear it a lot. Like, what is it? So, Team Lily is a commitment to work as one, right? To work as a team. I believe that if we share and foster inclusive environments, Team Lily could be achievable. I really do think we would need vulnerability to be in place. I think transparency needs to be welcomed and shared by all people. Team Lily, to me, is a random ping from Celeste Stanley just checking in on me and inviting a new girl to lunch. Team Lily is a coffee chat with Tiffany Benjamin and Sherry Davis, sharing advice on areas to reside, the best schools, and summer camp suggestions for my kids. Team Lily is sharing twin mom stories with Liberty Wilkin and Jennifer Porath in our department's social area. Team Lily is Talisha Morris and Dr. Cheryl Allen proactively scheduling quarterly check-ins with me to ensure that I and my family were adjusting well. These are acts of kindness that I will never forget and that I am grateful for, and I am now a better member of Team Lily because of it. So I ask you, could someone on your team be suffering in silence alone right now? Could that someone be you? Could someone on your team literally be walking through some stuff and we just confuse it with just not being productive or not being engaged? I encourage you to truly bring your whole self to work. Go on ahead, remove the corporate cloaks, right? I encourage you to share your story, take the dare, and share. Thank you.
Already know is Tiffany's husband Dell and her children, Elijah, Brinkley, Lola, and Levi. They're running somewhere, and Miss Agnes is also here too. So thanks